Let me see, what does that say?
Oh my
Muting.
God. Okay. Wait a
Okay.
minute.
Let me see
Okay.
this. Got it.
All
Okay.
right.
Kathy,
So,
it's been a long time since I remember doing a clinic at your house in 2003, I think it was.
oh my, I know we didn't, this morning we didn't even get to actually say hi and all that stuff. But we are on Facebook, which is really nice. And let me just get settled just for a minute.
Sure.
So, Tom and I were, we were trying to get it together, um, and the thing is that some kind of technological stuff happened. Now, Tom and I haven't actually seen each other in person for a long time.
Long time. It's
Tom
been,
and I haven't actually seen each other. I'm just getting all my shit together here.
okay, that's cool. That's cool. There's some background music for you.
Oh, thank you. All right. So, first of all, Tom Lellis is an amazing singer. Um, and I don't know if you know of Paul Jost. I asked him if he knew of you, and he said,
Yeah,
"Oh, I'm a fan." He
yeah,
said
no,
he
I
does.
am.
Yeah. So, where do you live exactly?
I'm in Brooklyn, New York. In the city.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Paul he does work in the Soapbox Gallery. Have you been over there?
I haven't been there yet. No, I've been kind of hunkered down here with COVID restrictions, and we had a couple of grandchildren live upstairs, and I've been very cautious about them.
Yeah. Let's see.
Young, so they haven't been vaccinated, or one
Yeah.
has now, but
Well, that's too bad. But if you do want to go see the Soapbox Gallery, you can go online.
yeah, no, it's very close. I could probably ride a bike or walk there, actually.
Yeah, I can imagine. Well, I'll be coming there in June,
Oh,
so
yeah,
yeah, we'll have to see each other.
cool.
Let's see. And but so yeah, so you live in Brooklyn. You've lived there a long time, right?
Yeah, we moved here in 1987, but I came to New York in 1973. So I've been in New York a long time,
Yeah, yeah. It's
from
a long.
Cleveland, Ohio.
Yeah. Oh, I could not believe that history that you sent.
Uh, right.
That was like
Well,
a
it
that
was
was
pretty.
like a movie, man. Can I post that? Do you mind?
No, you can post it. I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I sent it when it had something to do with the Kennedy assassination. When some of the mob came to this club, they owned the club, so
Uh,
there was some historical value to it. And I sent it to some people, but they did not print it. They didn't. Maybe it wasn't background proofed enough for them. But so I don't know what I'm going to do with that. But it's quite a story.
quite the story. Oh my God. It was totally interesting. I mean, you could probably write a book too.
Well, I've been told that I could do that, but it's been over 50 years now. And the story was that I was working a mob club outside of Syracuse, fifth largest club in the country, Three Rivers Inn, as a house singer and MC. And during the time I was there, some adventures happened. And one of them was that Sam Giancana and Phyllis McGuire came in to, I didn't know at the time, but they came in to check me out. And when you walk into a club that holds 1,200 for dinner, and there's two people in the audience, and you have to do two shows, not one, but two
That's
shows
right.
for these two people, it was quite unusual. Let me just put it that way. And the owner of the club was the nephew of Angelo Bruno, who was the head of the Philadelphia mob. And I didn't know when I got there first that it was connected to the mob. I only learned this after being there for a time, but it was a real adventure.
And you were really young. That's where you met your wife, and
Well,
right?
I didn't know. My wife was back in Cleveland. We had been together since I was 18, but I turned
Oh,
21. I turned 21 at this club. And the first day of my birthday, I met Gregory Hines, who was in for 9 days, and a whole series of great acts. The Four Freshmen, Ray Charles, Buddy Greco, all kinds of people came through. And I got to spend 2 weekends. Usually it was 2 weekend runs. So it was an extended period of time that I got to see these people and learn from them and
Yeah.
not learn from them. There were some bad acts too. Yeah, I mean, some of the acts came in, and as soon as they heard me, they wouldn't let me sing, like Frankie Lane and Al Martino and various people who were insecure. But it was my graduate course in music and the last vestiges of the nightclub era.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I mean, reading through this, I'm posting it as we're talking because it's a pretty incredible. And if somebody wanted to read it while we're talking, I think it would be really interesting. But yeah, it reminded me of, when I don't know how old I was. I was probably just thinking about my impression of this time period, maybe 8 or 10, or I don't know, something. What year was it?
1967.
Okay, so I was 14. Yeah, I was 14. So yeah, but phew, man, totally awesome. I mean, just like you said, the last vestiges of night.
Yeah. Billy Preston was with Ray Charles, Half the Count Basie Band, because he had fired the previous guys who were mostly drug addicts. And he'd kicked heroin in 1966. The whole year he spent in the hospital, and he came out and he was just guarded. Nobody even let him be alone for a minute. And they didn't want the band giving him anything to get addicted again.
Yeah.
So Half the Count Basie Band was there. Great. Ray Les was smoking. I mean, everything was it was amazing. I mean, 6 feet away. I'm right behind the edge of the curtain, and there's Ray, like 6 feet away for 11 days, 2 rehearsals, and 9 days of shows. And boy, did I learn a lot.
What was your impression of him?
Well, he was very quiet. The only thing he ever said to me in that time was, I was singing in the lounge when he came down from upstairs to go on the stage, main stage. And he said, I heard that. And that was it. That's all. And I got a picture with him and everything. But he wasn't happy. He was he wanted probably to be back into drugs, and he was being watched over very carefully. And he was rough on the band. And I went to 2 rehearsals, and it's true. He knew when somebody played a wrong note, and he would yell at him. He wasn't a happy guy then, but everybody else in the band was cool. Billy Preston and Chelsea Brown, dancer from Laugh-In, and the Raelettes were cool. Everybody was nice, but Ray was on his own, being carefully guarded so he wouldn't get back into heroin.
Wow, that's amazing.
He sounded great. You'd never know it. And his manager, just like if you've seen the movie was very accurate. Joe Wilson, his manager, was so slick. Oh my goodness. I mean, really one of those movie slick kind of guys. And he just lorded over everything, made sure that the band was there. If you were a minute late, it was a $50 fine, which is heavy money in 67.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah, I think who else did that was oh my God, his name is the guy, the king of that whole thing besides Ray, James Brown.
Oh, James Brown, yeah.
Yeah, he fined people.
Oh, I'll bet. They ran tight ships. It was really, really a tight ship.
Yeah.
And I guess he had to do that, but it wasn't pleasant to watch or be around in any manner. So
Yeah. We'll come back to all this stuff because I want to talk a little bit about you, in particular. And Mike Campbell is here, and he said,
yeah, Mike.
He said, I love me some Tom Lellis, absolutely one of my very favorite singers and people.
Yeah, Mike is one of mine. I love him.
Yeah, Mikey. Yeah, so when I met you, let's see, it was well, it had to be about 15, 20 years ago.
I
Is
think it
that
was 2003 when I did that clinic at your house.
okay?
Because I
Yeah.
played LA a lot in that year.
Yeah. And so what I remember was that you were really into Brazilian music and quality. I just always affiliated you with quality music, quality singing. So I want to know how you got there. So, so I know a little bit about your youth. So let's pass that part because we're going to come back to that. And so let's say, well, what happened after that nightclub period?
Well, I had left rock and roll and got into nightclubs, and then got to the Three Rivers. And after the Three Rivers, I started working smaller, Bay City, Michigan, Grand Rapids, Michigan, Indianapolis, places like that, doing more of a nightclub act. And then in 1970, which was, I was 23, I worked in Las Vegas for 2.5 months doing relief, which is they had 3 acts on a bill at the New Frontier and across the street at the Desert Inn. And each one of them got a night off, and I was the fill-in. I would fill in for Frank Sinatra Jr. I did that for a week. And Jack E. Leonard, the comic, and right. So but while I was working there, I wanted to mention to you, because you're in LA, I was working that whole time with Frank Collette, who.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Frank was moved from Bay Ridge, Brooklyn to Las Vegas, and he wasn't working. He was waiting for his union dues, or, that time period you have to wait before you can work a steady thing, in Las Vegas. And then after that, he went to Los Angeles, but I got to work with him. And even when we weren't working, I would meet him at like 1 o'clock in the morning at this club called the South Pacific, and he would back me up till 7:30 in the morning, where you walk out in Las Vegas sunlight and get knocked back into the room. It was like, but there was Frank Collette playing like Bill Evans. I mean, beautifully, and I got to sing with him. While I worked, he was working the engagements that I had, working relief. But then we would hang, so many nights. So the big benefit I got out of Las Vegas was Frank Collette, who went on to work with Sarah Vaughan as her accompanist. He was a beautiful player. He was, and he was so generous with it. He loved to play. He loved to accompany me, which was the surprise. But that kind of, as soon as I left Las Vegas, I started studying piano. From the experience at the Three Rivers with Ray Charles and Buddy Greco, who played great too, that was in my mind. And then I was working those small clubs in Bay City and Grand Rapids, and particularly Grand Rapids. The player, he was so bad. I used to say, just give me the opening note, and me and the bass player will do this tune. It's that bad. So I decided, well, I could be my own media. I could do that. I could be as bad as that. And I was for a few years, but I went back from Vegas, and I started playing piano, bought an upright piano and broke the sustain pedal, moving it into the house. So I had a very staccato piano, and I just practiced 8 hours a day for 6 months. And then I got a gig with a sideman, a drum machine, and my Fender Rhodes. And I probably worked for the next 2 years alone with a drum machine, putting on 3/4 and 4/4, which would make 6/8, so it was great. I could do, Afro-Latin nanny-goes with the drum machine. And that's what I did. I just worked very hard to get piano together for 3 years. And then after that, I got to open, there was a great club in Cleveland called the Smiling Dog Saloon. And we would open, the local guys would open, and I got to open for Dizzy Gillespie, Jimmy Smith, Bill Evans. And that's where I met Eddie Gomez and subsequently recorded with Eddie. And Mose Allison and people like that. And these were 6-night gigs. So it was a very learning time. And I worked hard trying to get piano together. I studied with Bill Dobbins from Eastman School of Music, and great musician.
Yeah.
And he would give me charts, transcriptions of Chick Corea and Herbie Hancock, and I learned so much from that. And I just knew that after the experiences I had in Las Vegas, I have to tell this story because it gives you the impression of what it's like to work in Las Vegas. I was very excited. So got the band together to do a dress rehearsal before the show, and the stage manager comes up and he says, "It's a 55-minute slot. If you get done early, start over." So it wasn't about the music. It was just about filling the time, getting the gamblers in and getting them out on the floor. And so that was it. That was it. Start over. So I realized that I had to put it all in one package, try to put it all in me and then have it come out the way that I wanted, hopefully. And I was scuffling for some time while I was learning, but I had this gig at a very minor league steakhouse that had chains. They had chain stores. So I worked in Akron and suburbs of Cleveland, and I did that 5-6 nights a week for a long time, enough to get it together.
Oh.
And then working opposite Bill Evans was another story I have to tell you. I mean, I was a fan, obviously, but I was very mediocre pianist, and I'm working opposite Bill Evans. I'm singing well, hopefully. Yeah. And Bill came in, and he used drugs too, and he couldn't get any in Cleveland for a while. And I think the second night I worked opposite him, I walked into the dressing room and he said, "You ought to study some Bach."
What did he say?
"You ought to study some Bach."
Oh.
And Eddie came up a little later and said, Don't worry. He's in a bad way, And then I played a version. I had written an arrangement of "Without a Song," which had a lovely bridge. Bill Dobbins actually helped me with the end of the bridge. And I walked into the dressing room 2 nights later, and obviously he'd been able to get some drugs. And he said that was the nicest reharmonization I ever heard on that bridge. I'm still proud of that. I recorded it. But that was a story, but it was fun too. And, I got a lot from that because on various nights, I'd be working opposite Dizzy Gillespie, and his audience became my audience. I got a better response from his audience, and that was very encouraging, So you take, and I'm not going to say that I was better than Dizzy, but it gave me a lot of confidence, as the Three Rivers Inn did, and Vegas, not so much.
Yeah, God, you can't pay for learning like that. I mean, it's just that, and you can't plan it out either.
No, I didn't go to college for music, but Bill Dobbins was my college and my experience, which was, you couldn't buy that.
No. Do you still remember the arrangement for "Without a Song"?
I do. And it was, I've got my troubles and woe, but sure as I know, my Jordan will roll. Help me out with the rest of it.
Oh,
Bill, he was sincere. He really, and I asked him questions too about Waltz for Debbie and everything because I loved it.
that was gorgeous. It broke up kind of towards after you went into a little. Can I ask you, do you have your original sound on or off? Do you see it on the top of the Zoom screen?
Let me see. let me put my glasses on so I can see. Where would I do that?
Do you have something up at the top of the Zoom screen that says original sound?
No.
Okay, so you would want to go down next to the mute microphone to that little caret and click on that.
Oh, mute microphone. Click on the mute.
No, don't click on the mute. Click on the caret next to it.
All right.
And then go to audio settings.
Okay.
Let's see.
Auto settings.
Oh, see underneath music and professional audio. It says show in meeting option to enable original sound.
Wow, I don't see that. I'm in settings now, but
Go to audio, right? You're in settings.
right,
And
audio.
so you have microphone on the top, and then
Right.
the next one is suppress background noise.
Automatically adjust microphone volume is checked.
Oh yeah, don't worry about that. Go down, suppress background noise, and under that, music and professional audio.
Right. Click that.
Click all of those boxes.
Okay, how do you get below that though? I don't see.
Oh.
My screen is, maybe if I make it bigger. No.
No, you have to scroll because that's a window. So you have to scroll in the window to get below music and professional audio.
I'm trying to do that, but it's not scrolling.
Do you see underneath music and professional audio?
Right. I clicked show in meeting option to enable original sound.
Yes, and the three boxes below, do you see them?
I can't get there. I see one of them.
Okay, well, if you can't scroll down, you have an arrow. So if you go
trying to scroll down, well, the arrow is not working, and my cursor is not working to get it down.
Damn. Okay, well, here's one more try to the right. To the right inside the box, there's a little bar that on the right side.
Yeah, there's no bar to scroll down on. I don't see that bar.
Oh, okay. All right. Well,
so sorry.
That's all right. That's all right. At least you can get out of there, and then you should see original sound up at the top.
Yeah, I don't see. It says original sound off. Okay, you want that on?
No. When it says off, it's the backwards. It means it's on, and then if you click that, it goes off. Okay, now could you try that song again because it sounded absolutely gorgeous.
I've got my troubles and woe. Sure as I know, my Jordan will roll. I'll get along. So it goes like that.
That is gorgeous.
Thank you.
Wow.
Actually, I open up a song. I think it's, I can't even remember. Yeah, I'll have to look at it. But it's the opening of a tune on Tonino and I's album Tonight. I put it on there, and I close with it too because it was. I was very proud of it, but when he said that, oh my.
Oh yeah. Now, speaking of how do you say his name? Tonino.
Tonino.
Oh, Tonino. Can you tell us how you got to create a beautiful project with Tonino?
Well, he was working with Astrud Gilberto at Fat Tuesdays in New York. And his Mountain Flight, his instrumental version of Mountain Flight was on the radio. I heard it and just flipped. I just flipped. So I wrote the lyrics, and then I went and saw him. He came to town with
little internet fault.
and
Sorry, Tom, you're breaking up.
I made the record and then sold it to Concord.
I'm sorry. You broke up through most of that story. So you're going to have to start again. You heard his song on the radio, you flipped.
Right.
And then, oh darn.
and then I had written them right away. We talked, and so I recorded them with him. He came back on another trip, and we went into the studio, and I sold that recording to Concord, and it came out on Concord in 1993.
I think now would be a great time to listen to a little if I can find it and nobody will take me down for playing it.
There's two versions, one on the Concord record and one with the Metropole Orchestra that Michael Benny arranged.
Wow. I don't know if they might take me down. I'm not sure. Let's see. Well, first of all, you for some reason you're breaking up quite a bit, and we would love to hear your song. But now I was supposed to have Ron Esch Day yesterday, and we had grave difficulties as well, and I had to cancel. So here, you can still see this, right?
Yeah, I can see that.
Okay. So let's see. I was going to go on YouTube. Okay.
Yeah, I would try to get the orchestra version because I don't think that the Concord version is online. They took it out of their catalog.
What is this?
That's the version right there.
Yeah.
The opening yeah.
Now
That's the one.
This is put out by Angela Scott Bueno. So
this is an adventure music CD.
This is what?
Adventure Music was the label.
Oh, okay. Now, let's see. Well,
It isn't on that record. That's what you were just playing was the beginning of what I played you earlier.
Oh, and
That's that.
We could actually hear a little bit of that.
Hear that.
I think we would like to. Do you mind?
Not at all.
And this is you playing piano?
I've got my troubles and woe, but sure as I know, my Jordan will roll. I'll get along as long as the sun is strong in my soul.
Then we go into another tune.
There may be troubles ahead, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Before the fiddlers have fled, before they ask us to pay the bill, and while we still have the chance, let's face the music and dance. Soon we'll be without the moon humming a different tune, and then there may be teardrops to shed, but while there's moonlight and music and love and romance, let's face the music and dance. Let's face the music and dance.
I'm gonna stop that because I heard lots of strange music noise. Wow, that is truly gorgeous, and what a thrill
It was.
Wow, just gorgeous. How old is Tony?
Tonino is, I think, he just turned 73 or 74.
Yeah,
I
not so.
second, just a minute ago.
Yeah. Oh, my friend Dan is helping me by listing some various YouTubes like Skylark with Bill Cunliffe and others, and doing a Christmas song.
Yeah. That, I've been fortunate to play with great musicians, and those among you mentioned, but a lot of great musicians that helped me become a better musician while I was learning too. But Bill Cunliffe, that was when I did the clinic at your house. That was the time period.
Okay, yeah. Um, Also, I have. I mean, we could just take a peek at this. Oh, yeah. You know what, Mike? That's what I always thought. Mike said you also play great guitar, and that's what I always thought about. I didn't actually know that you were a piano player, probably because you were singing with Bill Cunliffe.
I
You
was
know?
playing keyboard. I was playing an extraneous keyboard, strings and stuff then, but I didn't start playing guitar until I was 50 years old, and it was because of Tonino.
Oh, okay.
His chordal thing, Pat Metheny calls him the Herbie Hancock of guitar, and I think that is absolutely apropos.
Yeah, I do too. There's a picture of you.
That's the Concord album that the original Mountain Flight was on with Tonino.
Then there's
That's
another
my
you.
second album with Jack DeJohnette and Eddie Gomez.
God.
And
And then here's another you.
that's my first album on Inner City Records with Jack DeJohnette, Eddie Gomez, Jeremy Steig, Bill Dobbins.
Wow. Stellar crew, man.
I
And the
was,
Metropole.
yeah.
Yeah.
That was like, that's one of those things that is a dream come true. It was literally a dream come true. I was
Yeah.
always enamored of Sinatra, and I Have Dreamed with Nelson Riddle and that whole orchestral thing that he did. And this was that. I couldn't have ever imagined it. I never thought it would happen, and that it did was just a miracle.
Yeah, many times I craved that as well, and I heard some really beautiful Nancy King and Madeline Eastman and on and on. That really a wonderful. And John Clayton was conducting, and you had Michael Ebene's arrangements, right?
Right, Michael and Vince Mendoza, who you interviewed. I saw that interview, by the way. It was very good. And uh, Chuck Owen and an arranger from the Netherlands too. And I'm sorry, I can't remember his name.
Yeah, that's really pretty incredible. And then I think I have this in my draw, my CD draw, Southern Exposure.
Yeah, that was my first record with Adventure, and that was Tonino was on that, and Full Voice, which is a vocal group, which is great. Um, yeah,
Kenny Werner.
pardon me.
Says Kenny Werner.
Yeah, Kenny's on a couple. Hmm.
Yeah. And Jeremy Steig.
Jeremy was on a number of my albums. I think he's on at least four. Tonino's on 5 out of my 8 albums. So I've done a lot with Tonino because I just love his playing and his compositions. I've written 7 lyrics to his pieces. The most,
Really?
yeah, he's by far, my biggest collaborator.
Wow. And do you sing in Portuguese or no?
I tried. Yeah, I have a few tunes that I covered in Portuguese. And I did one on the orchestra album, which was Falando de Amor and Tema de Amor, which was funny because I found out, and this just came from experience, but you start hearing progressions. And Falando de Amor, the A is the B in Tema de Amor, and the B in Tamer Jamor is the A in Philandro Jamor. So they would go over each other, and that's what I did with the orchestra. And the arranger said, "Wow, these are big hits in the Netherlands, and I never thought of that." And it was just one of those lucky things. But so Jobim did that. He took an A and turned it into a B, and a B and turned it into an A in the AAB forms. And so you learn that. I mean, that was just blind luck.
Wow. Cool. God, that sounds great. And then the Avenue of Americas.
That had Better Days Ahead from Pat Metheny. I got a writer's contract with Pat for that tune. And now Pat has just reissued it in a slower version. And I want to reissue it too, because I don't think it got the attention or publicity maybe that it should have.
Yeah.
And it's a great song.
Um, I wrote lyrics to a Pat song too,
You
from
did?
from First Circle, from that period.
Yeah.
Yeah, called "In Her Family," and apparently it's one of his favorite lyrics. So he
Oh,
allowed me.
wonderful.
Yeah, it's a really
When,
beautiful
what, I
song.
wanted to ask you, when did were you a singer first or a flautist first? I saw you pull out the flute on the Vince Mendoza episode, and I wondered.
Yeah. I was born a singer, into a musical family, and I had two older sisters, twins, who sang, and one played piano, and my dad was a sax player. My mom had been a singer. And then flute was, I started when I was in, I don't know, junior high, maybe, something like that. I wanted to play the violin, but my mother said I had the perfect lips for flute. So I was a flute player, and then I went to Berkeley for flute. But
Oh,
after Berkeley, I didn't really play flute. I still have an embouchure, and I took a lesson in the pandemic time, but I just didn't continue practicing. I don't know. I'd rather play piano really well, and I'm going to take a course from Jeremy
there you
Siskin.
go. Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah, I would love to play piano better. I mean, God, flute's nice and all.
But you
But
can't
anyway,
sing while you're playing it. Little granddaughter, 6 years old, wanted to play flute, and she sings so well at 6. I'm saying, why don't you piano or guitar? So she's working on piano.
oh, that's a good idea. I wanted my granddaughter to play drums. She was so amazingly natural at it when she was like 5, and kind of lost a little bit of interest. And then this one, so this Tonight record, is that the last record?
No, that's another one with adventure. And then uh, I'm not sure if there's one in between, but the last one I did was called The Flow. And
Okay.
after adventure, I started putting out my own records again. I did my second record I put out because there's just no way to make any money. I still have a 27-cent check from Concord Records that I haven't cashed. I really need it. I'll do that. But there wasn't any money to be made that came back from the labels. So um, I started putting them out myself. Avenue of the Americas and The Flow and Double Entendre were put out by me.
I see. Okay, cool. This is a really beautiful body of work. And we'll definitely, oh, there's that picture. I didn't post that. You and Ray Charles.
Right.
So cute. And right here, man, this looks like an actor shot to me.
Yeah, that was by the arranger. Oh, wow. Great arranger took that picture while we were talking about an arrangement. I can't remember his name now because because that's how it is. I don't even remember what I'm doing at the bottom of the stairs. Cy Johnson.
Okay, very good.
You bet.
You remembered.
Right.
And this is Tonino, right?
Yeah, that's right. That was in 2008. With the Resonance record, did some videos. We did 2 days of videos with Tonino and a band from LA, Ricky Pantoja and great band. And that's online. Those videos are online. Doing his material a lot.
Oh, cool. Wow. That's nice. Maybe we'll search for that. But and then here's Joe Lovano and you.
Yeah, we did a festival here in New York and Westchester together. That was fun.
I think he's one of the king musicians ever.
Well, I got to tell you, at 15 years old, I was working at the bottom of the hill. We both lived at the top of the hill. He with his parents, and me and my wife had a place there. And my sister was his English teacher in high school. And he came down, sat in with me at 15 years old, at the bottom of the hill where we both lived. I was doing a little gig there, so I've known Joe since he was very young, 15.
Wow. Yeah, I just think the world of him. And who is this person at the bottom there with you?
That's Richard Bona.
Oh my God. God.
He's on the Avenue of America records with Better Days Ahead, and he played great on a Beatles medley I wrote. Amazing. It was great to have him.
Yeah, wow. He's another king. Just the king, right?
Yeah, I mean, you could just dig down as deep as you go, and it's all music. You could go through all 7 layers of skin and still find music. Wow.
Yeah, so let's see. Oh, I was just looking at this too a little bit because this is on the same All Music site, but it gives you your credits instead of your discography. So, but I see you worked with Jovino.
Yeah, we did. I did a song on his album. He did an album of duets, 2 record album of duets, and I did Jovan's a cover on that song. He's a great player, and he was with Adventure for a long time, as I was.
Well, I interviewed him a few months ago. Great. That was a great time too. I just really am in admiration of him. I met him at the Jazz Camp West in San Francisco.
Yeah,
And yeah, and he, it was a jazz camp, right, for like a week.
I've
And
done that jazz camp long before Jovino, but yes.
that was fun. And then, but when Jovino was there at night, after everything was over, you'd wander back to your cabin and come across the all night jam session with Jovino.
Right.
Really fun. You
I
know,
saw. No, go ahead.
I was just going to say, he worked with Hermeto Pascual,
Yeah.
and so for 15 years. And every night or every day that they were not working, they were hanging out, rehearsing, and playing for 15 years, every day.
Yeah. He's very studious about Brazilian music. I was at one of the IAJE clinics, and he told this great story about the first Brazilian music written by a woman,
Oh,
by the way, and she had a band that had Portuguese and Africans in it, and they started playing classical music. And then she wrote this piece, and she found out that the Africans who Brazil had slavery till the mid 1880s, so they had it longer than we did, and the Africans played the classical music with an accent. And he explained this whole thing about how she wrote this piece that incorporated the African accent that the musicians were playing with, which became Brazilian music.
oh my God.
Very interesting. He's a very bright guy.
Yeah, I found that was a subject that came up as far as that, like, basically he was saying, I tolerate everybody playing Brazilian music because Brazilian music is a mix of things. And,
Absolutely. It's like
so,
jazz. It's
yeah,
very much like jazz.
yeah,
Same influences. They had more jungle, African, or I should say indigenous influences than we did. We didn't
yeah,
take American Indian influences into jazz, but Brazil did. European, African, and indigenous. And I love it. The rhythms are just insanely great.
totally. Totally. I have a person, Joyce Glasgow, who's a big, huge jazz person. She would like me to play the Pat Metheny song that you did, What? No, you'll have
Better
to.
Days Ahead. Or
Bet-
I renamed it Four Better Days Ahead to delineate between them. And that's on the Avenue of the Americas record.
Okay, let's see if I can find this. Seem to be missing. Let's see. Whoa. I don't know what the heck is happening. Oh, here, I see what the heck is happening. No, I don't. Strange. Okay. I'm telling you, man, technology today is very odd.
I know. It's too much of it.
Yeah, there's a lot of weird stuff happening. Okay, search. There, I finally see the search. Okay, so I'm typing
Four
you.
Better Days Ahead.
I'm sorry, say that again.
Four, F-O-R, Better Days Ahead.
Okay. For better days ahead. Now, is that the name of the song or?
That's
Okay.
the title of my version of it.
Okay, so
It is just Better Days Ahead.
cool. Okay. Here we are. And
Things that go you and live.
we start that again.
There will come a time, gotta figure, things that go you and little bit. But whatever way that it goes, everybody knows times are certain to change. So get up, don't spend the day in bed instead. Grab your shoes and chase the blues until they have fled, and then sing this song from. Now it won't be long. Feeling getting strong. Guessing there's gonna be better days ahead. Even night turns bright when it's ending. Maybe time to do all you're intending. Never know what luck it may bring. Pendulums do swing. Winter's followed by spring. So I hope your little note begin to ring. Fill the air with songs that you forgot you could sing. And now right on. Now it won't be long. Feeling getting strong. Guessing there's gonna be better days ahead.
Gary Fisher.
time. Gotta figure things are going a little bigger. But whatever way that it goes, everybody knows times are certain to change. So get up, don't spend the day in bed. Instead, grab your shoes and chase the blues until they have flood, and then sing this song. Now it won't be long. Feeling getting strong. 'Cause I'm guessing there's gonna be better days ahead. Even night turns bright when it's ending. Maybe time to do all you're intending. Never know what luck it may bring. Pendulums do swing. Winter's followed by spring. So I hope your little note begin to ring. Fill the air with songs that you forgot. You could sing in the roll. Now it won't be long. Feeling getting strong.
Oh,
It's a great song.
fantastic. That is a great song.
Just so happy. It's just that's why I want to put it out. After COVID, I think we need it again, and he did too. I
Absolutely.
think
Yeah, it's wonderful.
it
And
is so melodic. You know, that's what I love.
yeah, and I really got the message of the words and you know, just great. And so did my friend Roland. He said he loves it. It's Brazilian and the lyrics, the way you phrase the lyrics is stupendous. And
Well, you know, Pat Metheny was in Brazil for 3 years, and he studied. He and Toninho became friends. I really think, and not to degrade anything about Pat Metheny, he comes out of Toninho Horta. His
ah,
sound,
yeah,
his chordal excellence,
yeah,
all of that. I'm sure, and he'll say that. I mean, if you say that Toninho Horta is the Herbie Hancock of guitar, you know what he thought of him.
yeah, yeah. You know, I saw him last year, a few months back,
Metheny?
and no, Pat
Toninho.
Metheny. Yeah, sorry, Pat Metheny. He was touring with his new trio, and what was intriguing to me was that uh, he did kind of his hits, you know, and everybody in the audience was singing along with him.
That's right.
I
You know,
mean, these are instrumental tunes without
right.
lyrics,
They're
and
great.
and now that you say that, it it makes sense to me
Yeah.
because he
Still
got
Life
that.
Talking, that album, I gave it to my sister, who's not really a jazz fan, but knows every lyric that was ever written. And she just loved it's her favorite album of all time, you know, because you can feel the uplifting emotion in the music. It's just, they're having fun.
Yeah, I know. It's a beautiful music. Oh, yeah. Joyce, I was wondering that too. What's the ancient looking street on the right side of the album cover? And are
Yeah.
those Tom's lyrics? Yeah, they're your lyrics, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
They're my lyrics. And I think that is Salvador.
El Salvador.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
But I'm not positive. The graphic artist would know for sure. But it
Yeah.
looks like I was in Salvador, and it looks like that.
Yeah. I thought it might be Spain, but yeah, I guess it's more south of this border would probably be be more likely. Um, Mike said, oh, first of all, Papa Toad, Tom
Oh,
from back in the
friend
day.
from high school. Hi, Bill.
And he said, we knew you would make it.
I used to do the talent shows in high school, and Bill had to sit through that.
Oh, those talent shows. I remember those. Mike Campbell said, I was lucky to have Tom and Tonino do a concert in MI. After the concert, we all went over to the Old Jazz Bakery to hear Gene Bertoncini. It was a great day.
And Tonino, after Gene was done, introduced himself, or we all introduced each other. And then Tonino started playing, I think it was Moon River on Gene's guitar, and everybody who was leaving the room just gravitated right back into the room. That was great, and thank you, Mike, for having us. That was a great experience too.
And the old bakery was great too. That was, I mean, she was doing fine last year, or the year before this whole crap started. They had oh God, I always forget whose place. This is part of a school, Henry Mancini. Dan, help me out here. Was it the Mancini Institute or who? Anyway, this music school on the west side, they have this beautiful space. I couldn't really call it an auditorium. It's more like a concert space. And so she had settled in there, supposedly looking for a new space or going to build a new space. But anyway, so it had been going on in the Moss Theater. Thank you. So, yeah. But anyway, who did I see? What was I saying?
You were talking about Ruth Price's play.
Oh, Ruth Price. Yeah. So it was the Jazz Bakery, So she's tough, man. You're not gonna step all over her at all. She was really good. Definitely one of my heroes. Yeah, that's really beautiful. So I do want to get back to the early days because it's so fascinating. But what are you doing? What are you doing actually with your time right now? Are you writing, playing?
Yeah, I just passed the halfway point between lyric versions and original music. And so I have 4 originals that I'm working on finishing the recording, and a number of others. But Tonino and I have just talked, and we're going to get together. I was hoping in March or end of March, beginning of April, but he won a 2020 Latin Grammy. He won the Grammy and beat out Caetano Veloso. I mean, wow. So he's getting hot because he won the Grammy. I'm so glad for him because to me, he is the follow-up to Jobim. His writing is that good. And so I'm so proud and happy that he won the Grammy, but he got busy for that time period. So I was trying to set up a tour so we would just do the duet thing that we did on Tonight, the album. And he got busy. So now I'm thinking more in terms of a video, to video all of our music together and the other things that we did together just as a duo, because he's so unique all by himself. And I love playing background strings and things to make his stuff sound orchestral. And so that's what we're working on right now. He's totally into it, and I am too. I'm so grateful that he is. But we have an affinity. I love his music. It's melodic in the sense that I see music. And jazz, I love jazz, and I love the rhythms and everything. I love the whole concept. But it's for the last 25 years, it's been kind of like hard-edged music, not very romantic. And I love the romantic part. He loves the romantic part. So I want to write some more lyrics to a couple more of his tunes. And then I have a book here. It's right handy and close that I've been working on. This is Tonino's book, 108 pieces and he's got some work in there that is just fabulous. And so I'm going to try to do some of that with him.
Oh, man.
And finish my album, which is, I planned a solo album, and it's a lot harder than I thought, frankly. The last album came out in 2016, and I've been working on it for all this time, and it's not done, and I don't know when it's going to get done because it's a lot harder doing this solo album than I thought.
No, that's very interesting. What makes it harder?
Chief cook and bottle washer, I have to write the tune, and then the lyric right now is my hang up. compositionally, like I said, my original pieces I have about 60 total, and about 25 of them are lyric versions, and the other are things that I composed. And that part of it, composing, is coming more easily because I'm getting better. I'm getting better at that, and music in general. But now the lyric, which I hold in high regard, I have to write. I'm 50 years removed from Yip Harburg, born on April 8th, 50 years before me. And I loved Yip Harburg. I loved everything he's ever done. And so now I'm critiquing myself maybe too harshly, but I can't find the lyrics for these 4 tunes that I wrote. And that's been hanging me up for a couple of years, just to find something that I'm satisfied with. I have a great opening line for a ballad that I love, that I wrote. I can't finish it. So, and, I have a studio. This is a studio. I can record here. And doing that, and then just putting it all together. And I've picked out some stuff that's very difficult. I took You'll Know When You Get There from Herbie Hancock and Mohandishi, and I'm doing a cappella version of it with piano. I just added the piano. I was trying to do it all a cappella. And it's hard. That piece has been, hard for 25, 30 years. Hard, really.
Well, this is interesting. Now, I want to ask you, are you enjoying the process, or do you want it to be done? Or if that's actually 2 different things?
Well, right now I'm rethinking the solo project and adding Tonino, if we can do the things that, what I want to do specifically is, we started recording some other things on a previous trip that he took here and stayed with me a couple weeks. And so I want to finish those, and then try to finish the solo album. But I'm going to put out a compilation album of everything Tonino and I have done. And that includes Better Days Ahead. He's on that. And Be My Love, which we did for Adventure, and some standards and some of the things that I would love to sing Moon River with him. His version of Moon River, and it's online, is just spectacular. It's not just good, it's spectacular. So I just gravitate towards that. And I'm kind of thinking that if I bit off more than I can chew with this solo album, I'm going to have to divide it up and make 2 records, one all with Tonino, and then one with the originals that I have and the things I've been working on for the solo album.
So, I understand about the lyrics, because when you have a great lyric.
Yeah. And when you don't.
Yeah, when you don't. And I've actually given it, I've just succumbed sometimes to the lyric that I don't think is the best, but I'll just take it for now. But it sounds like it's more significant to you. And so I'm just curious, is this the kind, let's see, I'm trying to gather my words. Is this hold on.
That's okay. Anybody who writes a lyric that Pat Metheny counts as one of his favorites is.
So I'm wondering if you would invite somebody to help you, even if it was just to give you ideas, or if it's just like, nope, I really want to do this myself.
No, I have to do this. Because there's no way to bring in a collaborator and then tell the collaborator, I don't like your stuff. and I don't want to do that to anybody, nor would I like it done to me. Uh-huh. So no, I have to struggle with this. It's just that you get tired of yourself. You get tired of the things you write and the subjects and love. I've written so much about that. It's kind of hard to figure it out. But I have a great opening line, and after if I can finish that, I'll be grateful. If not, I'm going to have to struggle with it until I can. And it'll be in the can until it comes out.
Yeah. It's interesting. Did you ever read any of Elizabeth Gilbert? She
No.
she was the author of the book Eat, Pray, and Love, which became a movie, right? And very good writer and a very friendly writer, you know. And she wrote this book called Big Magic after Eat, Pray, and Love. And she was extremely transparent, you know, and she said something that just reminds me of that a little bit, which was when she was younger and she realized she was a writer, she made a commitment to herself that she was going to write a little bit every day, forever, no matter what she was doing. You know, she had straight jobs and everything. And so she always has written at least an hour every day.
Oh, wow.
What was so cool about it, I found, was that she said she started realizing that every time she would start a book, she would be really excited first and then crash and burn over what she thought of herself and the book. But because she had to write every day, the next day she was back on the saddle. And I just thought that was so cool because then she recognized when she would crash and burn, that's fine. It's just part of the process.
Right, right. I think time has to pass before these lyrics, for me, become valid. You know, I'll write little things on pieces of paper and put them away as ideas. But when I actually create something, usually it stays in the can for a year or two, because and that gives me time to see what it feels like in over a long term. And if it passes that test, I'm okay. But there have been times when that time has passed and I went, no, I can't do it. I just can't release it like that. So, and as you get better and older and more wise, hopefully, your standards get higher. And the things that you wrote before might not be acceptable now. So I'm trying to write something that'll be acceptable now. And when it comes, it comes. And when it doesn't, and I was offered to write some lyrics for some other project. And I said, no, I can't do it while I'm jammed up with my own. But writing every day, that's determination and you know, stick-to-itiveness.
Yeah, it's really nice. This book basically gave everybody permission to be creative. It's really nice. Now I have a kind of a technical question. So, and I'm curious because I have so much writing in like several folders. And I mean, generally what I do is if I do have time to sit down and write, I'll look through the folders, look through the songs, and one will come up or I'll just go through several. Do you have a particular process that you do? Do you stick to one song until like keep going back to the one song, or do you actually move through your songs?
Well, I used to stick to one song, and now because of the block, I'm all over the place. I'm just trying to fill in, and with the recording, there's a lot of mixing and things to do. So I jump all around now. I can't really stay in one spot because I'll just stay there. You know, I won't really move at all. You know, so. No, I don't know what's going to happen. That it's been a hang up. I admit that it's been hanging me up for some time. If I could finish the lyric, the piano is down. So if doing a solo record, all I need is the lyric. I'll sing it and that'll be that. But I don't know where it's gone.
Do you get like if you write a lyric, do you just look at it and if it's not good, you stop there, or do you try and repeat the process, or do you just go, okay, I wrote that, and then let's see what I come up with for the next?
I will edit it. If there's something that needs to be changed, I'll put it to fill it as a filler. Just as you know, there's things that you let pass that you probably would. Well, I'll fill it and then try to adjust it so it's right. But again, that's a process that you can't really put a finger on. It just when it comes, I tried writing lyrics for Mountain Flight for about 2 months and nothing happened. And then I borrowed a joint, wrote them in 3 hours. That's how it went. Some people, who knows where it comes from, the muse.
Yeah.
But so I'm just waiting for the muse to visit again so I can finish these originals. But as I get to be more of a musician, I've always been a singer. So since I'm 15, I was singing professionally. But I started playing at 24, and I had a long way to go. And so even the theory is still coming to me, I always had trouble with diminished chords. Couldn't, just a root position diminished. And then I found out if you add a diminished chord a step above, if you're playing a C diminished and you add a D diminished, it sounds like that. And I just found that out. And then I was finding out that Lyle Mays, right? My granddaughter, the musical one, was born on his birthday. So I was just checking out Lyle Mays, and he does this thing in fifths where it's just gorgeous. And you can move it. It's just, so I'm constantly at this piano and discovering new things about theory and music. And all of this was just to accompany my voice. But that is the part that's growing and getting wider and hopefully better. Whereas the singing is just waiting for it. I'm just waiting for that to come along and find something new to accompany my voice. And so that's the whole idea.
Yeah, that's really cool. See, I want to play like that.
I have some, a little story. My brother is a physicist and very bright. He designed and implemented 5 generations of MRI scanners for GE, for Johnson & Johnson. And he's very bright. And he turned physicist to programmer. And so we were talking theory one day, and I was telling him what, the beginnings of theory. And he went, it's all odd numbers, 1, 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, 13. And he grabbed that out of the thin air, and I went, wow. I mean, you use the 4th, but it's the 11th. You use the 2nd, but it's the 9th. So, so I have a lot of things. If you're really interested, I got a bunch of shortcuts that I had to take. At 24, I was on the move. I had to do it fast. And I got a lot of things that will help people get into piano.
I'm making a star on my paper.
Yeah, I'll send you stuff. I have it printed out. I have all kinds of stuff.
I also am going to, I can play, some people say, wow, you play good, and I don't think so. But I can play in time. I can transpose.
Oh, that's hard. I don't transpose well.
I've actually seen super professionals in here for workshops who don't transpose well. It's interesting. And, so anyway, I can do stuff, but I'm going to take, I never have taken a serious basic piano course, but like I said, I'm going to take a course from Jeremy Siskind. He has a college course for beginner pianos. And that's, I think I need the basis, of it. And, but having stuff like what you're talking about too would be really, that adds like kind of the juice to it, right?
Yeah, really, it's math. I started playing Summertime.
Yeah.
With just the chords of a whole tone scale. If you play Summertime and play just 1, 3, flat 7 dominant chords, and you can play. And then when you get into the part, you can just go, let me see, so, you can play the whole thing in just 7th chords. So I've tried to take the simplest division of 12 notes is 6 and 6, and that's a whole tone scale. That's 1, and this is, and if you play them together, Bartók did that. He on Concerto for Orchestra. I became infatuated with Bartók, and he used to do that. Make all those. That's just a whole tone scale played all at once.
Huh.
So if you take it from the beginning and you break it down to its simplest form, it's a whole tone scale and against a whole tone scale. And if you use dominance on that, you can play the whole of Summertime. If you stay in whatever the melody note is in the whole tone scale, you play in that whole tone scale a dominant chord. Whatever it changes, you can go back and forth. So these things, I mean, this is what's has been going on in the last 5 years from 2016, that and developing my granddaughter, who's like my best student ever, so that's what I've been doing.
Cool. How did the pandemic change what you were doing? Did it change mostly, or I know you
Well,
mentioned you weren't going
sure.
out.
Yeah, well, it took all the live gigs away,
Yeah.
and I used to do some clinics and with live people there,
Yeah.
and all of that stopped. So I just kind of I gave into it really. I just said I'm going to stay home, teach her, and I got a 6-year. When she was 4.5, we were doing Zippity Doo Dah, and at 5 we were doing Shaka Khan's Ain't Nobody. I mean, she's got so that's it. I've been dealing with her and then my own stuff when I'm not dealing with her, and that's my investment in her. She's going to be great, and then musically, I'm just bulking up on theory and trying to get something to accompany me that sounds like I want it to hear.
Yeah, yeah. Do you know of somebody I was very honored to interview, Philo and Felipe? Um, Hold on, I'm looking. Felipe Machado.
I don't know them.
You would
Both
like.
Yeah.
Well, it's when you say your granddaughter. Felipe and Philo are grandfather and grandson, and I'll have to find this for you, or Dan, find it for me, would you? Take 5. In fact, let me just go look for it because I can't stand the thought that you wouldn't know about it. So you probably would really love this. Let me just, this is an amazing, you will love them. Take 5. Felipe, what did I say his name was? Felipe
Machado.
Machado. Let's see if I.
By the way, Dave Brubeck approved my lyrics for the Duke in 3 days. What a guy! What a
Wow.
wonderful guy he was. I sent him. I got the contract back in 3 days. It was great.
Wow, that is so cool, isn't it?
It was.
Yeah, when I know I've had let's see, Vince Mendoza and Pat Metheny. Uh, I can't remember if I wrote for other people who said okay, but just having them, it was like, wow.
Yeah, I think it's great that you did that. We are literally adding to the vocal repertoire, and
Yeah,
jazz has kind of. Yeah, I wrote a whole article on my website long ago about jazz dividing and conquering itself. And that was about splitting up the instrumental and the vocals, where it used to be, Ella Fitzgerald with Duke Ellington
yeah,
and then, but then there are exceptions to that. And Pat Metheny was one of them with Ledford and Pedro Aznar singing on those great instrumental records. There's
yeah,
voices on them. So when you write lyrics like that, I think that is a big attribute to the vocal repertoire.
yeah. You're so sweet, man. Okay, here, Philo Machado and Felipe. I think Philo is the father. I mean, the grandfather. You'll love this. This was a number of years ago. Now I think it's maybe 10 years ago, something like that.
Already. Great. You hear they even add a Brazilian thing to Take Five. It's
I
like
know.
the accent that Torino was talking about.
Yeah.
Added to the music. This is it. Brazilian scat so differently than the West jazz thing. Little voice, I love it.
I know, can you believe that?
You think they're having fun? That's the thing. Huh? You can feel it.
I know. I know. And it goes on a little while. But anyway, you got to check that out. It is so, they are so adorable,
Music is so international, and you can see that what the different countries have added to it, and wow, and Brazil is like so high on the list.
It really is. It's really amazing. Yeah, it's I remember, there was a long time I only knew about Brazilian music in Brazil from Jobim's, very common things, right? That Girl from Ipanema. And I had no idea at all for the longest time. Then I started listening and I was like, oh, wait a
Wow.
minute, and gosh, I remember when the first time I heard that album with oh gosh, my names are really not coming today, Tom.
On the stairs.
Oh, yeah, that's really funny. I can really relate to that. Gilberto,
Oh,
Joao, with the orchestra that was conducted and arranged by not the
Klaus
Brazilian.
Ogerman.
Yeah. When I heard that,
Whoa.
then I got his phrasing, timing, and that was crazy. He did he did his stuff before the orchestra was added, because I talked to the drummer, Joe Carrero, about that project. That's what happened. So they didn't put the orchestra first.
No, it was so out of kilter for us to listen to the way he phrased, but it makes total sense. It's just, I when I was developing, I never sang falsetto because I thought it was not macho. It was like, I didn't like American falsetto singers like Smokey Robinson. I liked the music, but I never liked their voice doing falsetto. And then I heard Milton Nascimento do a falsetto and realized that I was missing a whole octave or two of range in the music. And he literally, and that's why I wrote a tune for that, just a non-vocal singing tune called Milton's Moment, based on that influence. And if I had not heard Brazilian music, I'd have still been in that macho mode where, no, you're not going to sing falsetto, you don't sound good, it's not macho. But he turned that whole thing around, so that expanded my whole vocal repertoire or range hugely.
Is that somewhere where we could hear it, that song?
I can play that one. Falsetto very well right now, but that's that tune. It's on the Concord album.
Oh, it is.
Yeah. But he influenced that, and he influenced me singing non-verbal music. So, and they did that all the time. And it seems like what they did is they took it out of the church much more than we did. I mean, gospel music here is out of the church, but it's out of the Black church. And Ray came out of a lot of the Black gospel. Yeah. But theirs is more the Catholicism church, where choirs and all these things.
Heavenly kind of romantic stuff.
Yeah, and Toninho does that too with Pilar. There's a church in Ouro Preto, which is an ancient city north of Belo Horizonte that we went to. And there's this church, it's called Pilar, and the Brazilians discovered gold there before in the 16th century, and it became famous. And he wrote this tune. It sounds like it's right out of the Catholic Church, but it's not. It takes from it, but doesn't imitate it. And that's what Brazilian music does a lot too, that I love.
Yeah. I have something here that my friend Dan found that probably is cool. Let's see here.
Oh, yeah. This is
in Beverly Hills.
Yeah, that's right. That's Renaissance record. George Clavin brought us in, and we did this. This is Nino's ode to Antonio Carlos Jobim, called Poem to Tom.
Você cresceu, criou o som e a melodia, de tom pra tom. É triste ver você chegar ao fim. Eu vou chorar, eu vou chorar, eu vou chorar. E nunca mais eu vou te esquecer, Tom. Nunca mais eu vou te esquecer, Tom.
Lori Bell on flute.
She's great. She's who I took my lesson from.
The sky, the sand, captured in his hand. sand, music starts again. I hear it still, I know I always will. From tongue to tongue, calmly it flows. River to sea, always it grows. A melody from key to key of tone. A legacy of melody for tone.
Nobody writes.
That's beautiful. Yeah, and, it's funny, George. So George Claben, yeah, also likes Paul Jost as well. It would be fun to have you and Paul Jost sit down and play together because he's a great drummer.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, he started with drums. I mean,
Uh-huh.
he's sung for years too, but he's a real drummer. So the two of you guys would be really interesting to watch together. Plus, you would love each other as people.
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure.
Yeah. Um, so besides Brazilian music, were you a fan of any other singers coming up? Um, Obviously, I mean, in the old days that we were speaking of, which I posted on at the very beginning, Tom, when he was very young, 18 or 19 or something, that was when that period was from, the history.
21, right from the day I was 21, it started.
Yeah, so there's a lot of history there, and there's Buddy Greco, who, I didn't really know a lot. I didn't really know Buddy Greco's music. His name was super famous, but I really didn't know much about his music.
Well, he had his hits in the 40s.
Oh.
And Sinatra said about him, he said he could make anything swing. And he really could. But when he told me that story that he had hit records in the 40s making $2,100 a week and gave that up for $150 a week to play piano with Benny Goodman, I said, wow, that's some serious, a serious musician. And he was. His show was great. Beautiful music. He did karaoke from Jobim, and he did a beautiful version of The More I See You, just stunning. And he was, we had a great relationship. I mean, he'd get asked to the country club to play golf. He said, come on, we're going to play golf. And he called me up in the middle of his show twice. We did Around the World, which was one of his hits. But you could see that he was really a musician, not just a singer. He was both. And that's what he and Ray Charles made me play the piano. And Chick Corea, hearing Chick Corea's Tones for Jones Bones, and McCoy Tyner's Man from Tanganyika, which was on my first album, which was 12/8 and totally out of range. But as far as singers that I liked, I started out as a kid. I liked, all kinds of singers, but Jimmy, Kiss is Sweeter Than Wine. I can't remember. Yeah, he was my first. I loved the way that he sang. And then, I loved Dick Damone. I loved Mel Torme. At 7 years old, my mom used to listen to this radio station that played all those great singers, Sarah, Ella, Frank, all of them in the morning. So every morning that's what I ate breakfast with. And she would sing harmony with them. Never melody, never. And for the first 12 years of my life, I was going, how the hell do you do that? And it would do it with anybody. But I heard Mel Torme's pitch right here. It just hit me right here. I went, holy cow, is that in pitch? But after that, so many singers that I was influenced by. And the last that I really stood in front of the speakers or laid down in front of the speakers and studied was Carmen McRae, who was also born on my birthday. We were born on the same day. It's so ironic, that my favorite lyricist was Yip Harburg, April 8th. And the last singer I studied hard because she could be nice and gentle and feminine and nasty as hell in the same phrase.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same phrase she could do that. So
Yeah.
I was just studying her interpretation. Sinatra was my male interpreter. Carmen was my female interpreter that I took so much from. But I love Sarah and Ella and Nancy Wilson and so many. And later, Donny Hathaway and wow, what a great singer. I mean, Cuba Bryson, beautiful voice. What a gorgeous, it's a lot of singers that I like and listen to.
Yeah. Yeah, that's really great. Um, yeah, there really were so many great singers over the years, and not even now too. You know, I keep finding amazing people. There's a lot of amazing people. I'm not, I don't know how you feel about this, but I'm not super excited about a certain path of singers, jazz singers, who have come up in the last 20 years who are super into the technicalities. Um, I Not that I don't admire their abilities. I admire their abilities, but I'm not moved by them. And so I'd rather hear a singer like Tom Waits, somebody ragged who has so much heart and soul and musicality, and that's what speaks to me. So, how do you feel about that? Do you notice that at all?
Well, I don't want to get into any criticism of any sort because it's not really productive. But I heard Betty Carter live once, and I'm glad I did because I don't like her records. I don't like her records at all, and I don't like the people that come out of her style because it just doesn't hit me. However, when I heard her live with an orchestra, I went, "Wow, that's Betty Carter!
Yeah,
Finally!"
yeah,
And I didn't like her with Ray Charles. I just didn't hear it. And
no,
so there's a certain element of singing that doesn't appeal to me because it lacks melodic value to me. It has a rhythmic value, and that's wonderful. But if you don't join those things, if the synergy is broken by somebody not being either in pitch or melodic with the time, then I think the synergy is broken. When you put those things together, time, pitch, and melody, then that those are the things I gravitate to. But there's a whole school of Betty Carter singers out there, it seems now, and I wish them well. I just can't I can't join in.
yeah, yeah. Um, Yeah. In general, I mean, especially before the pandemic, there was a place here called the Blue Whale, which actually one of my old students built. And he has great taste in music, and he was really interested in creating a place where people could come and experiment, and especially the younger people, come and have a place to express themselves. So he did really well. It was very internationally known and stuff. But so I actually enjoyed a lot going there and hearing all the different genres. I guess you could say the different genres mixing. And you heard a lot over the years because he was there for 11 years. So that was before the pandemic. So it seemed in LA anyway that at that time there were more like elements like string instruments being mixed in to the jazz, on an improvisational level as well, not just writing.
Right.
So that was really fun. And then, of course, the elements of rock, um, and I just loved it. I would sit in the front row mostly, so I could feel like I was part of the band. But who struck me like that recently? I don't know if you've gotten to see her live, Lisa Fisher.
No, I haven't.
Her.
I know the name, but I haven't been listening to singers since I was 24 and started playing piano. I mean, I heard other people, but
Yeah.
I haven't specifically listened to vocalists. Carmen was the last, and then I went to piano, and all my influences
Or piano.
came through piano or instrumental music.
Yeah, yeah, I can understand that. Well, Lisa Fisher was in that movie 20 Feet to Stardom, and she was like one of her big claim to fame was she was a background singer for the Rolling Stones. So I've seen her several times here at Catalina's, but the last time was a few weeks ago, and you would love her because first of all, she's, a little older, so she's got the feeling of I've been around. She has a trio guitar. The guitar player plays a little keyboard, but he's basically a guitarist, bass and drum. Everybody's great. She has this mixture of style because she sang for the Rolling Stones. She's right out of that, but she also, the music gets treated, in my opinion, like jazz. The harmonic structure of it that the guitarist has brought in to the arrangements and the rhythms and their treatment of the process of making the music. It's all very jazz-like, but it's definitely has rock influences, and her voice
Beautiful, huh? I'll have to check her out.
has a range. This is her range, and she can go from here to here in a second, and both in like kind of a more classical sound, or a rock sound going up to it with no killing herself, and she has a funny sense of humor. And after the show, she gets down and she talks to the audience.
Cool.
You'd enjoy her. It's pretty cool.
I like the rock influence in jazz. See, to me, it's all this. There's rock, folk, and jazz, and all of it together it's all synonymous. If you can just use pieces of this. There was so much rock I liked all through my jazz years. I sang rock for the first 15 to 20. I sang, Motown, anything that struck me. And I still love it. There's a lot of singers. I love Shaka Khan. I love Stevie Winwood. I mean, and not only do they sing well, but the rhythms they use are burning. It's like jazz. It's funky enough to be jazz, and that's for me the jazz rock movement and jazz fusion. Of course, why not?
Yeah, you're right. He uses the same stuff. And here's another video of you. And another video of you, although I'm enjoying talking to you too, but this is something I want to see because this is a bass player who plays with Paul Jost too.
Yeah, Dean Johnson.
Yeah, great player.
Great arrangement by Gary Fish.
A merry little Christmas.
Oh.
Let your heart be light. From now on, our troubles will be out of sight. Have yourself a merry little Christmas. Make the Yuletide gay. From now on, our troubles will be miles away. Here we are, as in olden days.
Yeah.
Happy golden days of yore. Faithful friends who are dear to us, gather near to us once more. Through the years, we all will be together. If the fates allow, hang a shine
Nice. Oh my gosh. How beautiful.
Gary Fisher's arrangements. We recorded. I have the piano down. I'm going to sing that, put it on next year.
Very beautiful.
It's a gorgeous arrangement. It's inharmonic and just gorgeous. He whole different chords and lovely.
You sounded beautiful too.
Thank you.
You really did. And Dean is, he's an
He's
amazing
great.
player.
Beautiful player. Beautiful.
Yeah, just boy.
Those are the first takes. We did that and the Christmas Waltz, which I love. And the first takes, and we were done in about 20 minutes and out of ABC Studios. It was beautiful.
Wow, that is so nice. Wow. Let's see. What else can I ask you off the cuff? Um, um, who else did you work with besides Tonino? Like, did you have some long-term musical relationships? Well, you worked with who was it? Gary Peacock and Jack DeJohnette?
Eddie Gomez.
Oh, Eddie Gomez.
Yeah, and that there were two albums with them. I can't say that we Eddie more than Jack. Jack just on the recordings, but Eddie and I used to do gigs. I opened up the World Trade Center in 1976 to the public, working 7 nights a week.
Wow.
900 to 1,000 people coming in, and Eddie came up and played on the 107th floor with me a few times. And I had great bass players.
Wow.
Yeah, we did that for a while. The King of Spain and a bunch of actors. Burgess Meredith was cool. He was so nice. We hung out one night after the gig with Burgess Meredith. That voice was just iconic.
Totally.
But yeah, actually, as time went on, I had fewer relationships because I was doing my own thing. You know, I had very long-term gigs in Manhattan doing solos, singing and playing piano.
Okay.
So I did that for a long time because there wasn't necessarily that many opportunities to play with other people for a while, and while I was getting myself together. But on the last few albums, Gary Fisher, the piano player who played right there, we've been working together, and he's kind of co-produced a couple albums. We mixed here and then took it to be mastered and things like that. So he's been a good collaborator too.
Yeah. If you had to, do you have a feeling of not what you do best, but do you have a feeling of something that is unique to you that is the offering?
Probably that I've been writing lyrics to jazz works, instrumental jazz works. I mean, it used to be that, you know, Rodgers and Hammerstein, right? So, but as I said, the jazz divided and conquered itself. There wasn't that many collaborations between singers and musicians, and fewer musicians were looking to have their pieces have lyrics. I tried to get Ralph Towner to let me write lyrics to Icarus, and
Me too.
Yeah, he didn't want a lyric.
That's right.
That's
That's
right.
funny. I'd like to compare our lyrics sometime.
Yeah. Well, I sang it on the last record on The Flow. I did it without lyrics. I just sang it.
Oh, it's such a beautiful song.
Because I love the tune, you know. And so if there's something, I think it's my affiliation with jazz works and developing, as I was complimenting you for, I think I have 25 pieces that were jazz instrumentals that I put lyrics to, including Duke Ellington, McCoy Tyner, 2, Herbie Hancock, 2 with Chick Corea, Pat Metheny. All these are great instrumental artists, and I brought into the repertoire a vocal version of those, which I heard people were auditioning in Europe with Mountain Flight.
Wow.
I taught in Graz, Austria, for a semester as a guest professor. And the singers there were very hip. They knew what was going on. They knew. So giving them and everyone else an opportunity to sing these great jazz tunes. I'll take that as the thing that probably identifies me most.
That's cool. Very cool. And yeah, I was going to ask about teaching. So you've taught over the years and workshops, obviously, but also private teaching.
Yeah, private teaching. And then I did 5 semesters at New Jersey City University and the guest professorship in Austria. They asked me to come back, but it's being away from home for a long time, you know. So I chose not to do that again, but it was a great experience. And I got to work all over Europe with Art Farmer's piano player. You know, it was great. And what was great about that was, instead of having a pickup band, I asked the band, you know, if they would work with me, this trio that was already intact. And they said, no. And I didn't know why. And 2 months later, I had couple good gigs in Vienna. And I said, come on, you gotta, and they said, okay, we're ready now. They had rehearsed my albums. They had taken the charts and written charts and gone. And so when I hit with that trio, it was like my band. It was spectacular. I had a gig at the Porgy and Bess in Vienna, and we did the set, and the audience was fabulous. We went down into the dressing room, and I was drinking a glass of ginger ale, and the manager comes down and says, they're still applauding. They think you're going to do an encore. I said, we're going to do another set. You know, in 5 minutes, we're going to do another set. So it was spectacular. The greeting in Europe was like, I could have flown home without a plane, you know. It was beautiful.
Wow. Man.
Yeah,
Yeah, those are moments. It's really too bad that they happen and then they go then they go away, and it's like, because they're so great. And I've had moments like that have actually kind of stopped me in my career, because I had a loss because it wasn't happening again, you know.
You got down because of the loss of it, right? I hear you.
Yeah. And it took me a little minute, and somebody's comment that just went in the little opening inside and went bing, you know, what are you doing? It's just a loss. Turn on the next project, you know.
There's got to be some downtime too. I mean, that's where the composing and lyrics come from, in the downtime, you know. We don't work constantly, so that time is not to be diminished. It's really important.
I agree. I remember when I realized when I was in my 20s that every January life would stop, you know, no gigs. It was just January, sorry, no gigs. And
Right.
so I just realized, okay, it's January. So now I get to do something else, you know, and instead of just gigging. Now, you know, I'm preparing for whatever.
Right.
And
That's why I left Cleveland. You didn't work from January, sometimes December after Christmas, till April, because the weather was so bad. So I came to New York, and instead of going to little towns from Cleveland, you know, I got here, the first gig I had was in Puerto Rico. It was like, wow, this is different, you know.
That's interesting. Speaking of this, was there ever a time, did you ever go through a moment like, I'm going to stop for whatever reason?
Never. You know, Miles Davis said, you know, it's an addiction.
It is an addiction. I think of it as a religion too. It's something you practice that brings you closer to God, you know? And so,
There you go.
yeah. Joyce wants to know where you did your solo gigs in Manhattan.
I had about a 1.5 year gig at a place called Jake's on 43rd and 2nd Avenue. The owner was the CEO of Universal Pictures and owned the Baltimore Orioles. And so I used to see Jim Palmer walk in and sit in front of me while I was playing and stuff. It was great. and another place called the Summit, and another place on 49th and Second Avenue. I had a weekly gig with a quartet and me at what was the name of that? The Tar Bar on also First Avenue. And I worked the old Birdland on 107th and
Oh, really?
Broadway, and a lot of places in Manhattan doing solos.
Yeah. So, is there anything you would like to say that we haven't talked about, that you want to share with people, or a message sent, or anything like that?
There's a project that I'd like to get together that's just in my brain now, and that's a choir to sing McCoy Tyner's Song of the New World, which I wrote lyrics to, which is about peace, just about peace. And I'd like to get a full-blown, hard singing choir to sing this modal jazz work of
Wow.
McCoy Tyner's. And because I'd like to bring that music that inspired me, jazz-wise, technically, all those reasons, the things that touch you, and bring them out to a wider audience. Obviously, I mean that's obvious, but to bring a choir to give it power, those kind of things, I'd like to do Better Days Ahead with a choir too. Just things that are uplifting. I'd like to get a number of really. I might do it just with tracks, just bring singers in, have them sing the line, sing the part, and then just put them all together. That way, if I can't get the choir, but that's what I'd like to do too.
That sounds like a great project.
It would
Okay.
be inspiring, I hope. That's all.
Very, very inspiring. Yeah. I mean, there's the material, and then there's the human voice too,
Yeah,
which,
I mean, John Coltrane's piano player having a church choir sing it that'd be a kick for me.
okay, well, we're going to be looking for that, Tom.
I hope it's not too long a wait, but I'll send up a flare when it's time to look.
Okay, good. It's been so nice talking to you and reconnecting. I'm just thrilled to death.
Oh,
Thank
thank you.
Thanks for being on for 2 hours. It's a little bit of a chunk of a time, so thank you.
It just went by. Thank you very much, Cathy. It's great.
I know you have a few more fans from people watching, and it's just, I love sharing positive messages, and you certainly have positive messages.
I'm trying. And you look in your email. I'm going to send you some of that piano stuff.
Okay, I will. Woohoo. Okay, well, I'm just gonna tell people who's on, for the following part of the week, and I have a few gigs this week actually. So
Great. Wonderful. I'll say goodbye and
Yeah.
thank you very much.
thanks, Tom. Bye.
Bye.
You have to push leave.
Okay. I see. I
Yeah.
have to find glasses to do that.
Okay.
Zoom end.
Yeah, and
Quit Zoom.
yep.
Bye.
Bye. Tom Lellis, ladies and gentlemen. Boy, that was great. So I am doing, well, first of all, live gigs this week if you're in Los Angeles. Tomorrow night is my 7-piece improv a cappella vocal group called Fish to Birds. And we create out of nothing. Many times people will come up and say, how long did it take you to learn that? And there is no answer, because we never knew it before the moment we created it. It's really fun. The people involved are professional and fabulous. It'll be Mon David, Cecily Gardner, Adrian Duncan, Ashley Marr, and David Joyce. We're missing Emil Hassan Dyer, and our old youngest member was Tracy Robertson, but he moved. And so that's who will be it. It'll be really fun. It's at the conference room in Playa Vista, which normally we do an outdoor concert, but because the weather is so dramatic, especially on that side of town, we're actually going to be doing it inside. So if you're okay with coming inside, come over. It's from 7 to 9, $10 cover charge, and the food and the wine are really, really good. And the staff is great. Yeah, Roland, fish to birds. And then Saturday, I've just been creating these beautiful concerts with beautiful musicians. It's just what I've been called to do recently. Last month it was Jeremy Siskind and I did a concert, and this month, this Saturday, Larry Kuntz on guitar and David Pilch on bass. Talk about the greatest players that you can get, and who have played with many people, and who are amazing people with great humors and totally committed to music, and just great, just beautiful, beautiful. So Saturday night, we are at one of my favorite venues, the G Spot, which is a home venue near downtown LA. And we'll be there at 8 to 10. And if you are interested, go on my website, cathysegal-garcia.com, and you will be able to buy tickets for that one. So my archived guests this week, which you can also find on my website, are Thursday, Rick Baptist, who is one of the top studio trumpet players in LA. Friday, a singer better known in Europe, Sasha Boutros. Saturday, Darlene Koldenhoven, who was an intensely successful studio singer, jazz singer, but studio singer for all kinds of things. She was in Claire Fisher's group, which is no easy task to do. And she has a whole career of her own now. And then Sunday, Bill Cantos. Bill Cantos is a great pianist who played with Sergio Mendes and a bunch of people. He plays actually twice a month, I think, at Vibratos in LA. And actually, I will be over helping at the Jazz Salon at the LA Athletics Club, the Jazz Salon run by David Ross. And they have a great program, Tamir Hendelman, Barbara Morrison, an orchestra, a big band. And they're doing a dedication to Duke Ellington and Billy Strayhorn. That's Sunday. So anyway, there's a lot going on this week, and yeah, I'll next week, live people, Denise Times, great singer from Chicago, Dana Stevens, an intensely good saxophone player who's rising, and David Lynx, who's he's a stunning vocalist from England who's very well known. And what else did I want to tell you tonight? I'll just give a shout out to Rose Colella at Vibrato, and Will Walker, if you like a really nice singer, good personality from New Orleans. He's playing in Sherman Oaks from 6:30 to 9 at a New Orleans restaurant, Mardi Gras. That's what it's called. That's tonight, Wednesday. So anyway, just wanted to do a few shout outs. And again, Tom Lellis, what a joy. That was really, really nice to connect with Tom again. I'm going to go listen to some Tom Ellis. Goodbye, ladies and gentlemen. Have a great Wednesday. See you later.